Now let's talk about relationship queries. So relationship queries are similar to SQL joins, if you're familiar with SQL, where you're able to get some relationship values. However, it doesn't quite have the same power as SQL. In this lesson, I'm going to be switching back and forth between Dev Console and Visual Studio Code. But first, to talk a little bit about relationships, we're going to be talking about parent-child relationships and then child-to-parent relationships and how to be able to query both of those. They're a little bit different. So first, what I want to show is if we go to the contact, and let's say that I wanted to query the account or the contact record, but I also wanted to get a couple of values from the account as well. What we can do is, because there is a relationship between account and contact through this account ID field, we can see right here the apex type is a reference. That means that it's a lookup, and you can do this with both lookup values of just regular lookup or master detail. And we can see that the field name is account ID. If we were to try to, so we can get a query, we'll start with from contact. So I want to get all the account names for these. With these references, you can reference the field on the parent object. However, this doesn't quite work. So we're leveraging this relationship based on the field, but we're going to get an error and the relationship account ID in field path. So we get an error. With this, what you have to do is, instead of it being account ID for the field, it's just account. And that follows pretty much all of the standard Salesforce objects and fields that have a lookup value to them. Is that you're going to see pretty commonly it's going to be whatever the name is with ID at the end, appended to the end. And really all you need to do is if you want to get a field from that parent, you just take off the ID. However, let's say you have a custom field that you created a relationship with. We'll say that, I'll just show it in here. Let's say I had a parent contact. So if we had a custom object that we named a field as a lookup relationship to contact, we called it parent contact. What you would then do is, instead of it being underscore C dot first name, to get the first name of the parent contact, you would have to switch this to an R. So the R is going to be more of indicating that it's a reference to the parent object. In these examples, we'll just be going with the standard ones, but just wanted to show for custom fields that you create that have a lookup relationship to the parent, if you needed to query any fields from there, you have to use the name of that field and switch out the C to an R. Okay, and to continue, so let's say we wanted to get the name of the account. We'll say the account industry, and the first name, the last name from the contact, where. So we can also reference names in, or not names, but we can reference parent fields within the where clause as well. So if I didn't want any accounts that where the contact, or any contacts where the account is Wayne Manor, then I can run that, and you can see that I got all the contacts where the account name is not Wayne Manor, and then I got the account name and the account industry. So switching to Apex, let's clear this out. So going back to that, let's see how we would grab those fields if we needed them for whatever reason when we're writing some code. So I'm going to get the account list, or not the account list, I'm sorry, the contact list. And I'm just going to grab this whole query. Okay, now I saved all the context within that variable. And then I can debug, and we'll just go with the first contact that we have. I want to get the account name. So just like how it's referenced within the SQL query, we're going to need the account.name in here. So it wouldn't just be the name, it's the account name. Same if we wanted the industry, it would be the same, except we want industry. And then of course, if you wanted the first name or the last name, it would just be dot first name dot last name. And then I'll run these. And we can see Rose Gonzalez, and then for Edge Communications, which is in the electronics industry. Next, I'm going to go back to Dev Console, and we're going to talk about getting children. So let's say that we wanted to get all of the accounts that had contacts. So how would we do that? We want to query the account and get some of that. Let's say we wanted the ID, the name, and the industry from account. And then we wanted to get only the accounts that have contacts. So we can do account ID, and then we can create another account ID in. So we want to get where the account IDs are in a list, and we can query and get the account IDs from contacts. So within here, this is all pretty normal. We're ID in, and then we're using another select statement to get the account ID from the contact. So that's going to bring in a list of all the account IDs, which is the ID for the accounts. We can run that, and we can see here's all the accounts that do have a contact that's associated to them. We don't bring in any of the contact information right now, but we'll do that in a little bit. Actually, we'll do that right now. So what we can do is first we will remove the where clause, and we had that query in the where clause. We can now have a query in the select as well. So what we want to do, let's say we want to get the account, and we also want to get, so we want to get all the contacts and their account information within one query. So I want to get contact, we'll go contact ID, first name, and the last name from contact. So then this would be bringing in the ID for the account, the name of the account, the industry of the account, and then it's going to have it's going to be an object that shows the ID, first name, last name for the contact. Now this is going to actually fail because this says contact, and I'll show you why. So when you're doing relationship queries within the select, you have to reference the child relationship name. So that name is not contact, it is contacts. And I can see that by going to the contact. If you go to whichever field is the lookup to the account on that child object, on the child object, you can see that the child relationship name is contacts. So if you reference this of being contacts, then that will work. And as I can see, if I run this, and it works. And I can see I have this contacts, and then you can see it's in square brackets. So we have an array of objects. So now what we can do is, shortly I'll show how to get that from Apex. But now if we wanted to put in both of those queries that we had, let's say so I want to get all the contacts with the account information from the account where ID is in, and we will do a select. We'll get the account ID from contact, and then we can also put a where clause into here. So we'll do where the account name, and I'm referencing that parent account within the where clause, is not equal to main manner. And that didn't work. Oh, ID in. Okay, now we got that. So we can see I have all the accounts, a list of the contacts that are associated to the accounts with this information, and then querying out contacts where the account name is not equal to Wayne Manor, or we're only getting the ones where the account name is not equal to Wayne Manor. Now in Apex, how would we get that list of contacts? So I'm going to go back to here and grab this query. And just a note right here, again, contacts, we have that list right here within the contacts, so that will be helpful to see this as a reference. And we'll close out this. I want a list of accounts. We'll call it account list. And then I want to run the query for the list. So we're going to have an account list. And then what I want to do is I want to show, we'll do a debug of the account list. And let's say that I want to show just the first 3 indexes. So the first 3 accounts. So we'll call it account 1. Account 2 and account 3, which is index number 1, index number 2. And as you can see here, when I debug, it's not helpful. I can see it in the dev console, but I can't see it here. And that's kind of where sometimes when I go back and forth and do most of my queries within the dev console. But we do know, because of dev console, that we saw the array of contacts within each of the records. So it was each individual record had an array of contacts, and that array would be a list of one or more contacts. Because the other thing to note is that because we had to query the account within the where clause, if there were contacts that didn't, or accounts that didn't have contacts, it wouldn't have shown up. So then I can get a list of the contacts, and then I want account contact list is going to be the name of the variable. And now each of these account records has a list. So I only want to get, we'll do the third account, so the second index. I want to get the contacts. And notice how I'm using the relationship name of contacts. And then if I debug, this list, I can see here, number 7. So I have a list of contacts, and then the account ID, the first name, the last name, and then I have another contact, account ID, first name, last name. So that's how you can use relationship queries to get not only the parent, but also you can use it to get child information as well. So kind of traversing back and forth from parent and child. And it may take some time to get used to these relationship queries and identifying what queries to run and when to run them. The child relationships for me took quite a bit longer for me to understand and realize when I would potentially use them. And they're definitely not used as often as the parent. That one I use quite a bit. That one for me was a little bit easier to understand as well. It seemed like it was a little bit more straightforward, where we use the dot notation of the parent name, dot, and then the name of the field. I'll see you in the next lesson.